have you start, and we call it a lot worse down here, believe you me. I just hope this sleep first now. Hello everyone, and thanks for coming to Lynn Hall Library today. My name is Andrew Beattie. I'm going to read a few poems from my recently published book, Permeation Of Tears. I've been writing poems since my early teens. I love to express the world around me through my poetry. In those early years, I was very shy. I didn't run with any crowd. I would stay at home and simply write my feelings down on paper. The introduction. I was born in Northern Ireland in the late 1960s. I was 5 years old of age when the Troubles first broke out. I was raised by my parents in North Belfast, a place renowned in the Troubles called Ardoyne. Here as a child, I first witnessed some of the worst violence in Northern Ireland. My photographic mind had captured images from the 70s right through until the mayhem ended. What would have been abnormal for any living person became normal for most people in Northern Ireland. Bombs, murder, kidnapping, punishment, beatings, protection, racketeering, and the list could go on. All in the name of the cause. Sadly, people accepted this as normality, going about their daily business, living and surviving as best they could in war-torn streets. Communities and sometimes families were being ripped apart through the use of terrorist organizations who maimed and killed just because a person came from the other side of the Ridges Divide. These are my poems which are based around these cruel times. I hope you, the reader, can get some sort of insight into these events. And by reading my poetry, I hope you can reflect for a few moments and feel the sheer madness we had to endure. The first poem I'm going to read today is called My Yesterday. This poem is about growing up in North Belfast during the Troubles. My yesterday. Looking through the window of my bruised soul, I can see the Glenbryn of my yesterday, where children played innocently until nightfall in broken glass-strewn streets. Parliamentary murals have always played a major part in the ghetto I call my home. The air was only filled with bullets, petrol bombs, and civil unrest. Outside my house sat two large iron drums, one at either side of the road. Another two sat in the same manner at the bottom of my street. All the streets in the neighbourhood were manufacturing vice in this way. The drums inside were cruelly caked with cement, holding in place wheeling metal poles, which spread across each road. A defence mechanism from terrorists who desperately wanted to enter our streets to cause havoc and mayhem. A sad normality growing up in 1970s working class phrase of Belfast. I don't miss those terrifying old days, which the liberals simply call the Troubles. Agonising, pitiful tears falling from crushed hearts, languishing both sides of the divide. I utterly despised the cruelty as a confused young boy. Every time a car drove slowly past me, I almost thought maybe I'm going to be the latest victim. As in the city centre when bombs blew limbs off the innocent, with their blood flowing cheaply into the very gutter. Yes, life was regarded as nothing back then. It could be taken from you merely for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, simply coming from the other side of the divided corrugated iron barrier, with orange shot green, vice versa. It was unjustified and morally wrong, and the evil of this province had risen its ugly head repeatedly, and supplied us generously with bigotry and destruction, with death the ultimate victor. The scales of burning hatred blinding their demonic possessed eyes, filled fiery red, battle scarred and full of vengeful rage. I don't miss the eerie deadly silence of my history, when persistent pessimism and negativity dominated the Ulster sky. Thank God this new optimistic generation has not been inflicted with a grief-stricken element. We can never forget our yesterday, for many are physically and mentally scarred for the rest of their lives. Let us strive, hope and pray for a peaceful and prosperous future for all our children and our children's children. My next poem is called Trouble. as trouble seemed to be lurking in every corner of my being, and hiding in my room away from the world was my safety haven. Trouble will find you, it will come your way, occupying greatly thoughts without delay, holding you in captivity, it will enslave, taking you to a mysterious room. You can only keep it at bay for so long. It toys with the soul so long, bringing confusion and destruction on the hypnotic spell, languishing in the depths of hell, cast in a hideous eye, heart-rending you want to die, leaving my comfortable safe bubble. Oh, that criminal word, trouble. The next poem is called The Nothing Effect. This poem is about being scarred from the past and about acceptance. This was our everyday normality. And how sad it was being stuck in that era. The Nothing Effect. I need an attempt at reality to help me find clarity. The winter weeks pass so slowly that one soul comes knocking upon my door. No long lost friend, not one glimmer of hope. Curtains wave from the January draft, which attacks my fragile chest through weakened single glazed windows. The streets in my city lie tarnished and crippled from the past, leaving lonely bruised people in its wake. My mind dwells on morbid self-pity, racing over so many deep memories. I miss someone to hold on these shambolic nights, lost, afraid, and on. The wind teases and pokes fun, and empty tin cans rattle along the street. A plastic bag hangs manically in the air, without due care over its destination. Bored, senseless, my mind goes blank. In a perverse way, I like the nothing of it. It brings the emptiness to fulfilling head. Perhaps I am plain and simply dead. The Belfast letter is my next poem. This poem has a different outlook from the last one. Through those dark and horrific days, there was always hope. I believed there had to be a better way, and ordinary people were suffering so much on a daily basis. A Belfast love letter. Peering into still water, I see a true force of nature, like delicate pollen on my shoulder, the awakening of artistic mind. Beautiful, tangible optimism swims in the river lagoon through murky, putrid water. For hope shines in the darkest of places. Rough local voices captivate me, actively engaging in conversation, bags of gossip, enjoying solidarity. Small talk lingers around Belfast streets, Celtic Falls and tranquil, sure common ground. Under the surface they find a kindred spirit, it's suffering from life's agonies. Belfast is where I grew up, the city of that island, from the atrocious days of the past to building a positive future for all its people. The Aging of Time is my next poem. Having stayed in Sligo on a short holiday beside the harbour, this is where Lord Mountbatten had been blown to pieces on his boat. And looking into the water, I was inspired to write this poem. The Aging of Time, I walk along Mullinmore Harbour and meet the ghostly fragments of Mountbatten, hands held out looking for sympathy, weeping amongst stagnant water which tantalise at the pathetic remains. The sprawling estate still pours down from the hill to lord it over such comfort. Far removed from the rest of civilization, nothing has changed, or nothing. With picturesque rugged beauty, who could imagine this here? This happening here? What embarrassment and sadly now. The people were in the deeds. Sure, they're dead back Irish. They'll be fine. Seagulls squawk and the slag aware, fluffy clouds float idly past that pale blue sky. Part of me wants to leap into the water, to refresh my mood, fragmented, not by moan, but by the aging of time. I sit with my milky Guinness in hand and dream of tomorrow. The majestic Balmoral stands proudly in the distance. I see a genius. I seek a genius in drum clip alone, whose mortal voice, as long as it's gone, is the words of wisdom. Though the world weeps for many a sorrow, I'll smile and rest beside a simple grave and quote my timeless friend. For the cradling of literature has no end. My next reading is called Fellowstone, and I'll base this poem on the so-called leaders of this province who led so many astray. These people mostly hid in the shadows while conducting the masses. Philistine, you're nothing but Philistine, who leads the majority down an insecure and dangerous path, brutalizing and terrorizing the whole community with fascist actions and remarks. A bully who encourages division, hatred and violence, embarrassingly pathetic while barking out orders to a lost and blinded tribe. The leader of a pack of wolves ready to devour the organic traces of natural living organism. Art and culture is indisputably miles away from being intolerant, submerged in barren head, boastfully bragging, small-minded and uncouth inside a demoralized wasteland, uncontrollable and despising anything which has a shred of human decency or dignity, arrogantly conceited with while flexing your military muscle ruthlessly. Bitterness sweeps down easily from your hardened heart, a danger to every rightful thinking person on this part of the island, cruelly replenishing and hatefully sowing the seed of evil wells, loathing the Philistine without a contempt, with his twisted, scheming and uncultured kind. Child's perspective. This poem is based upon my family's homecoming from holiday on Bloody Friday. We were all so frightened as the bombs went off around Belfast city centre. Child's perspective. Stranded at Carlisle Circus, looking to Dad to cool my fear, the absence of words, a fractured resilience. From the dock only an hour before, spaces strewn in torment. Bomb after bomb explodes in my city. We seek refuge behind the statue of Reverend Montana. Carnage at Oxford Street bus station, pieces of burning flesh conceal, like meat carved for gratification, barbarism in highest form. Bloody Friday was meant to be a glorious homecoming. Belfast, the city that I love, blinded by hatred, fragmented by judgment. I'm only an innocent child. No blood on my hands. Suffer little children and forbid them not to come on to me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. Fragments of deprivation. This poem was written because I truly believe I was living through the eye of the storm in those days in North Belfast. Fragments of deprivation. Demoralized by the tragedies of life, fragments of deprivation come flooding, surging in the eye of the ferocious storm, battle-scarred from a cruel element. A twist of fate falls on my impoverished body. Angry skies threaten to pound my brow-head. Belfast streets can come across mean and suspicious to the outsider, devaluing many a poor working class boy who is often being put through a barbaric mandate. I remember back. This poem was about my next door neighbours growing up in the early 70s. They were all Catholic and very respectable. I remember back. They were our next door neighbours, decent, respectable, and one Catholic. They would have done anything for you, as the old saying goes. Every Friday when Marion and Pauline came home from work, my friend Michael and I surrounded them for pocket money. Please, Auntie Marion, please, Auntie Pauline. We both would say at the same time. They were always born and willing to share. Her sister Betty was my sister's best friend, A brother, Colleen, had died in a motorbike accident, age 17. How tragic. The parents were quiet and hardworking. Other offspring were much older, and I cannot recollect their names or nature. I remember back to that night with total sadness and the people who carried out these cruel deeds with disdain. The angry voices who woke me up with pure hatred in their very veins. No, not that house, it's next door. That's where the Phoenix live, as I taunted and cheered. I heard the violent sound of a window smashing into pieces, then another and another one, again and again and again, until every window was smashed to smithereens. The family lay sprawled helpless on the bathroom floor, as they tried in vain to seek shelter and some comfort. My parents could do nothing, but they were terrified of repercussions. An eerie silence lingered in the witching hour and beyond. Nazi-style ethnic cleansing with all its sickening glorification. Next morning, the trainers said their final goodbyes, with tears trickling down their cheeks and ours. I sad to see lovely people leaving the street for the last time. To this day, I have never had neighbours so unassuming as a trainer. It's my last, actually. The last of my collection today for reading is called The Sympathetic Notion. I also believe when I was in my bedroom as a young teenager, and we're all basically the same underneath. Skin, bones, eyes, and souls. A sympathetic notion. Many times we carry much weight on burdened shoulders in wanting to put the world to rights. We need to hold a cup of human decency firmly and with sincerity, for life is so short. To reach out to the other side, go with clarity, very noble, empathetic thoughts need to be addressed through the eye of realism, through the heart of idealism. I would just love to thank you all once again for coming. There's a few books here if you'd like to buy one at 16 tonight. I have another book just published called Unlocking Innermost Thoughts. And you can go to the same website at Morris Wiley Media to purchase this book. And if you would like to ask a few questions, just fire away.
Andy, whenever I first read the first poem in the book,
Yes, ma'am.
I thought I was reading a bit of a novel. It starts off that way.
Yeah.
Have you thought of developing and writing a book?
About that first one, you mean? Sorry.
Not necessarily, but you know. Because it reads like the start of a novel.
It does. Love what you can do that. You know, it can be short stories, and I have written short stories in the past, but look, you never know, Raymond, you know, because you don't forget your yesterday and what went on, and you never learn. Thank you. Well,
How did I get to when I'm very Mexican?
that comes later. There's a time and place. Even Tony's at Morris football score, so there's a time and place.
The same time and place on
I can ask a question. First and foremost, it's a powerful book, very well presented. I've had that book now probably a year and a half, and some of the poems you brought in today.
I had to tinker with it the first time around.
You know, really good. And you can ask me a quick question. It's a powerful book, and obviously it's been a legacy of shame, so to speak. But can I ask you a quick question? You wrote when you write, and I want to know two things. I want to know how much of a positive distraction was two things about that era. First, your t-shirt, music, and the second, sport. Was that a way to get the middle ground and reflect on what was happening, or was it a way to escape it?
Well, it's a good question, because as you know me well, and well, the late 70s, my big transistor, locking myself in the bedroom and you know, not hanging around the corners and being quiet. I was into football, obviously, but I'm a sports, and as you know, the punk scene was my thing, and John Page and stuff, so I started even know himself. So I was into all that, undertone, stuff on fingers, etc. And because it was bringing two communities together, and I loved all that, so it was a massive, massive thing. Plus Belfast was the punk capital of the world, as you know. And sorry, the other one again, but sport, what's a
Sports, yeah.
Well, I didn't know many, but I was playing football, obsessed with football and sport, obviously. And I did watch a lot of tennis, you know, sneaking off school back in the day when they worked for the characters.
Yes, I sneaking or picking.
Well, whatever. Anybody else?
Just follow up on John's suggestion. What you've read out, it's a spot in me, much more so than quite elegant texts, historical texts about the Troubles.
Yeah.
And yes, that's why I would be keen to see on number report developed into a short story, but with that, with the construction of it, you know, see what I'm getting at. Not in that, not a linear narrative, you know, more that kind of emotional understanding of what we saw, rather than a story.
Well, probably the time, you know, especially around the late 70s, they did a lot more stuff. You know, probably have a lot more stuff in the house as a young teenager, because that's what just cut myself off. There's a lot of music and writing a lot. And that's basically what happened in construction. But I mean, I could do a lot more. I have loads of more stuff in the house. I could present maybe a lot more of a bigger thing through time, who knows. But, you know, it's all those horrendous times. Terrible beauty can't be born, I suppose, as Yates would say. And, you know, there is beauty through the horrendous times. As even McCann says, you know, when the undertones went through a horrible place in the box sound, and the beautiful songs of the undertones were so gorgeous, all beautiful love songs. Nothing about power, nothing about violence, and they just try to escape it, I suppose. And or at least it's still on fingers, you know, they wrote about it and criticised for it. But they came from the same sort of area as me, some of them. And you can't escape it, you know, you try to, you do escape it in your bedroom for a while. Like my words would have been New York, Berlin, you know, California, not just where I live. I could see beyond the pale, I could see beyond them. But you still have to come back and say, well, I know that I owe this a piece of justice for, you know, for the people the ordinary people who did have a voice. I believe, you know, if that answers your question.
Well, I mean, what do you mean about punk? My group was North Belfast, as well. We used to play also with them, see Gabriel's playing place.
I know.
We should see a whole lot of heads, different religions.
No, wait, that makes me the same. Makes me you've never had a bad word to say like children. So.
I was bang, bang, bang. Certain occasions, it's really hard.
Well, that's it. Well, as you know, you give me influence number 37 in the third book. I told you that. Which is on the burner and our group.
Half and half.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
Can I just back to your book? I've never actually asked this. What would your favourite 2 or 3 poems be? To give me a 3 to 1 out of the book, and why? Is it hard?
No, it's never been hard. My favourite poem out of my 105 collection, I would say my favourite would be The Aging of Time. I just love I just love going to slag it. And maybe the Guinness Hand as well. The weather's beautiful, and just capturing that moment of that poet would do, like a painter would capture that moment in time and thinking this was horrific, especially the day the 18 soldiers was. So, and then because of AIDS as well, you know, I just fell in the place for me and just thought, I have to write something down here. So And I also love, well, I love Child's Perspective because it was about, I think I was 8, I believe I was 8 when that Bloody Friday. So, yeah, around the River Northern. Actually, mostly with my dad, I couldn't make fear because I was a child and he couldn't do anything. He couldn't respond to going on everywhere. We were stuck around carpet circles. Me, my sister, and my mum and dad, and my brother wasn't there. But it was horrendous. I mean, carnage went on, which went on so many times anyway. So that's the two I can think of at the, and obviously the first one as well. Because it was my history, you know, you look back and you never forget it. It'll always be a part of you.
Well, that's the another one, Andy. What was the hardest poem that you found writing? What was the hardest to get the pencil down on the paper? Which
Probably the first one, because it was like a bit of a story, because you're looking back at the barricades at the top of the street and as Raymond says, I want a story. I'd written that back, I'd written that a long time ago. I was actually bigger than that one again, believe it or not. But I cut it down a piece or two. And I just remember back to the 10 drums, you know, I was sort of called so-called protection, you know, from the other side of the farm release, but I went along in the streets of North Belfast.
I actually forgot all about them until I read your poem. I went down from track and not released the streets, I kicked football off.
I was just going to say, I never used them for goalposts. Goalposts quite good.
Some positive came out of it.
Nicola, Elder and Chase. Nanny for you, Nanny questions?
Oh, I think a lot of content, you know, I've read your work and really enjoyed it and appreciate that it's not for everybody all the time because it's very emotive, and a lot of people will be able to relate to it. However, I sense that you very much enjoy returning to your work, and when you reread it, you seem to really enjoy it. Is that?
Well, it takes you back, Nicola. It takes you back to those times because you still visions of them, you know. I still reflect and still see things in my mind's eye, as I said before. So it does take you back, and you don't. Like a lot of people have said there, a lot of people have escaped this and never will, and which is horrendous. It's just open. You know, go back to those things.
Is that cathartic for you? I know you hear some artists do work and say, right, that's it, done, put it away. I didn't need to look at it again. I'm happy to let it go. I imagine you kind of bring it
as you know as well as I do, more than anybody better in this room, Nicola. Yes, I still have the odd one. I still go back in the odd one in my second book, and for Tony's house in number 37 up the road, and the third one is the odd one. But I think after this today, I will not asleep for a while. And
for a while.
Yeah, hopefully for a while, and then move on. But not. This is the one really based in that era. But I said the odd one is based in the second one. As I say, number 37 and the third one.
Well, I think that's admirable. I think it's admirable that you can return to the work and enjoy it, even though there's the emotion there and the memories. I think that's.
Well, it is emotional. You do reflect. It was very emotional at the time. It was very emotional, especially with neighbours and stuff. You know, and around us, and you know, some good friends. You know, it destroyed my street, really, my own street. People moving to America, people moving to Canada, Australia. But me and an uncle went to Australia, mixed marriage. We were meant to go to £10 tickets in the early 70s, but my mum didn't want to family. And then I probably went down this book. So, but I do return, the second book I do return a wee bit. It's a wee bit of a book actually about it because what went on, the shooting really went on. It makes you angry, but more or less I'm glad. Not to go to sleep, really. Yeah, mostly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In respect to the Bloody Friday thing, I just so happen to be a myself.
Right.
I was in a precarious disposition on the same day. And at the time, I remember you didn't know where to go, where to think. And just so happened that particular day, I was actually outside the town there in the news center. Prior to what happened.
You were just down the road from me, really?
No, well, I was actually at a turn. You were just running about it. You didn't know where.
But I love
Police
it.
weren't giving you any direction because the problems were just, you
Yeah.
didn't know any, you went that way or that way. You get people to tell you to go that way. And then when people would tell you to go, one person would tell you to go that way. People said, no, don't go that way. There's bombs up there.
Exactly.
You know what you did? You were literally in a maze, sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
as I say, I was actually in Donegal Street that day.
Yeah.
So I was actually literally facing newsletter. And then what happened there?
And like a lot of people, I've talked to people in the past there, down a few years ago, we were actually, well, as I said there, pick up bits of burning flags, go for a bit of the hand to be involved in school courses. So it was horrendous, we didn't, since it never happened, and hopefully we'll never go back to those dark times, and hopefully we've learned a lot of lessons.
I don't know what you see what's going on in Ukraine now.
Pardon?
I say the stuff that's going on in Ukraine now.
Well, that's a different story.
Doesn't give you much.
I know. Say, and then the tourists are coming here for this reason because they want to find out more what happened on. You would have got tourists coming here back in the day. Now they're coming here for that reason, in your droves. They'll find out.
No, you want to. So that's one thing I have that I really taken because it's people coming here in the droves.
Well, I've done it for Berlin because I want to find out the history of the war in Germany. So I can understand why they want to come and learn. Not to encourage it, but just to see what was the root and what actually did go on.
I think there's two things hit home with me very, very strongly. One was I went out with Pauline Trainer, his girlfriend for a while, and a lovely family, yes, well. And the other thing was I was working in the Bank of Ireland on Bloody Friday at the corner of Ann Street. And I remember being out with the first aid kit and out of the bank down to the Oxford Street bus station. And I can tell you now what I thought was there used to be an abattoir down there at Blackenheim. I honestly thought that a bomb had gone off from the abattoir.
Yeah.
And it was only later that night when I got home that I realised it was bits and pieces of people.
Yeah, crazy.
So you certainly hit home with me.
Well, thank you. And Andy Polly always give me a few pence in the
Lovely girl, very lovely girl as well. And Anne, the older sister.
Pardon?
Anne, the older sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and the whole family.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I don't know anything for you, and just I just sad. I only felt that it would have been my neighbours for years to come. Really. Terrible. Thank you. What a small world. Actually, I met a girl a few years ago. I was talking to her, and she actually went to school with Betty, and told me it's so crazy. Betty was my sister's friend. Go back in the walls of each other, line the bedrooms and stuff, and line the windows and stuff back in the day.
You might say that just goes through from where we were, where we were growing up, really. That's just, that was real life, that was just day-to-day life.
Well, exactly, because
I was television, was getting shot in the head with an SLR coach with it from Ardoyne bus station by the army for playing handball. The oldest was 13. I was 12, and it was half Protestant and half Catholic. They didn't go down to the shop.
But as you say, just took it through. I mean,
That was just normal.
even when you got a wee bit older, so nice to go out your ladies in the town, they're all avenue, the Abercorn. I sometimes walked past Ardoyne coming home.
That was crazy.
I get shot. I know it's a terrible way to go home, but you're just so, it was embedded in you, but it's just horrendous. Really?
I think music got me there.
Well, music was a great, as I said, we still have the same music now, so. Exactly.
Sorry, just listening to your conversations. I gave a plug a few months back on one of the sports Facebook pages. And for me personally, I think the big takeaway message from the book is that peace and reconciliation is unique in town.
Yeah.
And it's amazing you look at today's Belfast. We just walked around the area. There's no security barriers. There's no police checks. You see a car going by speed, you're wondering what's happening. it's a different
And the
ball game.
backfires and that jumping.
But we have to keep looking. I know that they brought up looking back. Got maybe tip here in a minute about your works, but you have to look back to your mind ourselves at how far we came on the embrace this, and not to mess it up. Not that what they call diversify the kind of peace process, you know. But the second thing I want to pick up on, Andy, they said about visiting your work. In my opinion, as an artist, you always have to go back to your original works. And I'm going to give you a bit of a timeline of your t-shirt. It's Joy Division, probably the greatest iconic group ever, came out of Manchester, and that is this. Ian Curtis sadly committed suicide the day before my birthday, 18th of May 1980, and I left the void in the works of the next group, which came out was New Order, which was the rest of it from the Order. What actually happened there, Andy, for our ceremony, they didn't use any of the back catalogue from Joy Division. And what actually happened about 1998 after the Heart of the Public, which was the biggest selling album of the world at the time, 1993. Born somewhere, Peter Hook says, we want to do Joy Division stuff again. They didn't feel it was right and started doing it about 98. They Apollo and somewhere else in Manchester looked at it. And everybody was told they're brilliant.
Is that Factory Records?
Yeah. And they says to them, you've got to go back and look at your original work to make progress in your modern work. And what actually happened, that set me out on the tracks for so many more releases for years to come, because they did go back to work. I brought it somewhere, did sum it up. He says, look, when I used to listen to this music, I thought,
so they were back in the roots more, and I felt back in the
but he thought in his head this was dark music. I don't want to touch this, but when he did touch it, I gave him a whole new timeline. And then groups like the Killers came along, was that Stereophonics and stuff started taking samples from Joy Division, because they realised that the work was.
Well, the first time I seen Ian Curtis in TV in '79 was the Sunday Night BBC Play. There's something wrong with this guy, right? Genius.
And he sat the same. So as I said, I'll almost go back to this and works. Everybody says the same because it gives you that stepping stone to build upon.
Well, it has aspects of it that you have to, but we don't forget, as you said, you have to, try and put some in the bed. But you never put it in the bed, you can't, because especially when you Belfast born and bred stuff. Thank you.
Okay.